Hey guys, welcome back to AmSamFam.
If you are just joining us for the first time, please make sure to subscribe below so you can follow all of our adventures here in American Samoa.
And if you're a return viewer, thanks for coming along with us again.
Also, a big special thanks to all of our patrons. The Patreon's a pretty new thing for us. We haven't done this before, but we got a lot of interest from a lot of our viewers that they wanted to support us in some way. And it's been really great. We've been able to interact with people on a whole new level and share different experiences, and we've been really enjoying it. So a big thanks to, again, all of our patrons. And if you're interested, check out our Patreon. The link is in the description below.
As you can see, we are back on our boat. And we are not on full time yet. Lots of people have been asking us that, but we do spend pretty much every day down here, so we might as well be.
But we've been listening to your comments, and we've seen a lot of people asking for updates on the boat. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to update you on what we've been doing for the last couple of months, kind of tell you about some of the problems we've had, some of the wins that we've had, and what's going to happen next for us and where we're at in our process. So a couple months back, we posted our first video about the boat where we said we bought the boat and here's our top priorities. And those priorities were for the boat was get it cleaned out, meaning all the stuff off the boat, because there's a lot of stuff on there, get it cleaned, literally scrubbing it down on the inside, move some stuff back on, and then start working through systems like the electrical system to beef it up and get it ready for our whole family, and to work on things like the plumbing system. So we've made some progress on that.
Before we could do anything like projects on the boat itself, if you guys saw that video, you saw that the boat was just packed with stuff. And a lot of it was good, useful, and necessary boat stuff that we are going to need. But a lot of it was stuff that wasn't really necessary. And so our first task that we really had to take care of was just clearing everything off the boat, just completely emptying. So we spent days, just spending like full Saturdays here of literally taking every object off this boat. And I'll tell you what, I realized that boat builders are genius. They know how to use every inch of space on a boat, because there's like cubby holes under cubby holes, and they were all full of stuff. I found another cubby. Another one?
Is that a Bluetooth speaker? Or oh.
So we had to get everything up and out onto our truck, and we took it all home because that's the only other space we have on this island. Once we got everything emptied off of the boat, it was time to get to work, scrubbing and wiping every surface of this boat. There were parts of the boat that we had originally thought we were going to have to either paint over or just completely tear out and replace with something else because it looked really, really bad. But once we got up there and we started wiping it off and scrubbing these areas, the surfaces underneath just came to life. We realized that there was this layer of mildew and just kind of general, what do you call it, ocean grime from being here in the dock for a year unused, that once we got all of that off, we could see this beautiful boat underneath. Not only was there grime, but there was just little things that the last owners, like little pieces of Velcro on the wall, we had to kind of scrape off.
So it was in the middle of all this cleaning that we really started to understand what we already knew was going to happen, which is that buying this boat was not going to be a pleasure cruise, so to speak. We weren't going to just kind of come on, clean up a few things, and it was going to be good to go. We knew that we were going to have some major projects ahead of us, and we knew that there were going to be some surprises, and it was in our cleaning phase that we started discovering some of these surprises. One of the first things that we found is while we were cleaning the galley, we moved over to start cleaning around the refrigerators. There's 2 refrigerators on the boat, and there was a lot of kind of mold and mildew around the refrigerators that we're scraping off and cleaning. Melinda was using a screwdriver to kind of try to scrape off some of the stubborn mold, and it just slipped and went fully into the wood. The wood was like a sponge. It had no sturdiness left to it, and we realized there's probably a major problem back there. You couldn't really see it from the outside, but we started getting an idea. So we started pulling the refrigerators out and realized that behind it was a swamp. It all feels pretty bad, but I don't... Feels like it would be a crazy pain to replace that.
Yeah.
I don't see how we're going to get around replacing that. It had been leaking for the last year or so that it had been sitting right here and hadn't been addressed, hadn't gotten any airflow, and this is a pretty rainy, humid climate anyways, and it was just beyond recovery back there. So we had to start stripping out, tearing out the old, messy, sloppy wood, and got fans going in there to try to dry it out. That was probably our first big disappointment that we found, that we knew that this wasn't going to be real easy. So while we were at cleaning the galley, we also decided to just tear out this old wood-burning stove that was installed there that had a chimney that went up right through the roof.
I'm gonna channel my inner fixer-upper and I'm gonna just smash at it.
We actually thought the hole that it was going to leave was going to be perfect for us to put in a solar vent to help get some airflow there, give it a little bit of additional light. It's kind of right over the stove, so it worked out pretty well. So we tore that out, and that was actually kind of a win. But then we were still left with the swamp that was over by the refrigerators. So we decided that what we had to do to get ready for this is we had to get up on deck and just start clearing the deck off, because there was a lot of rope on deck, a lot of scraps of kind of wood. There's a lot of old rat traps that had sort of disintegrated out in the rain. Just a lot of stuff on deck, including these two big stays that were a legacy of the previous owner of the boat, who had the boat rigged up for square sail. But we didn't want to do that, so we decided to move them up and off of the boat. Okay, so this is a 3-man operation. There's going to be one person on each of the winches going up each of the masts right there. And kind of the main person in control is going to be the person that's going to be on the dock.
So if you don't know, a stay is just like a big wooden beam. Luckily for us, while we were moving these stays off of our boat, a friend happened to stop by. She saw us moving these big wooden beams off of our boat and asked us about it. We said we were getting rid of them. And she said, you know, I've got a really great use for those. We said, they're yours. So we were able to repurpose some of the things that we've been taking off of the boat. Once we got those stays out of the way, we had more room to walk around and more room to work up here on the deck. We put the kids to work scrubbing the deck, which is a great job for kids, by the way. As we were doing this, we were able to start seeing some of the problem areas, the areas where water was leaking down into the galley, causing all that wet and rotted wood down there around the fridge and up around the wood stove. And at that point, we thought we were ready to start scraping out the old caulk up on the deck and start replacing it with new caulk. That turned out to be a huge disaster.
So yet another issue with buying a boat that's been sitting for a year. This chock full of really great valuable stuff is that some of the stuff has been sitting for a year. We had like a whole box full of the tubes of this very expensive teak deck caulking stuff. And we're like, we're ready to go. We start scraping the caulking out of this deck to replace it with the new stuff, which would kind of tighten the deck back up again and plug the holes. Scrape it out, we're getting excited, we're seeing it cleaned out right there. We can see the spots where it's really been soaked, so we know exactly where the problems are at. And we're all on this, and then we get into the box of caulk, open up one of the tops of them, and we can't get anything out of it. And we look at it and it's been expired for 3 years or something like that. And this really expensive tube of caulking is solid all the way through. And it's like that with the next 8 or 9 tubes that we try to open as well. And so now we have a deck with all these exposed open seams and nothing to plug them up. So we got really fancy and we duct taped them and ordered new teak decking caulk online. So I had to sit there for 3 weeks with duct tape on our deck, trying to keep as much water out as possible, and duct tape is not the best way to keep water out of a boat.
In the process of clearing off the deck and cleaning it and finding the problem areas, we also started gathering up all the rope that was just laying around on the deck, just getting rotten, and we had to get through all of the sails. We unloaded all the sails off the boat. We laid them, stretched them out, laid them all over the dock. And we had our friend, you've seen him before in these other boat videos, Chris, came and helped us out, just kind of identifying what the sails are and their purposes, and just really helping us see which ones were worth keeping, which ones would need to be repaired, and kind of showing us the ropes of. We were able to put our first sail up, which was so exciting. We didn't go anywhere with it, but just to see it up and flapping in the wind, we got to hold the rope and feel the pull of the wind as we held it. Was a really exciting day.
But we still had these other projects coming that we knew were going to be important for us to live on the boat, like the electrical system and the water and plumbing system. So, electrical system, let's just say we knew this was going to require a lot of learning coming into this whole process, and in no other area have I personally learned more than in researching and studying and learning about electrical systems and solar and lithium batteries and amps and watts and volts and all those things, which never really held any space in my mind before. They definitely own a fair portion of real estate in my brain now. But there's so much to it. We're still working on that. That's something we still are looking at, ordering the right batteries, the right solar panels, and they're going to take weeks or months to get here. We did already have some solar. We do already have a generator, so we do have the ability to get electricity running through our boat when we need it. But water is something that there's just no alternative. You've got either you have it or you don't. So the first thing we did is we went and tried to start opening the through holes, which are the holes through the side of the boat, usually under the water line, where it allows water to escape from something like sinks or showers or things like that. First through hole we had on our list that we had to get open was for the kitchen sink, because it had some standing water in there, and I think there was kind of a mosquito breeding ground, and it was the first one we were going to do, and we were so excited to get our water system going. We find the through hole, and the lever to open up the through hole is just not budging, and so we worked it, got a pipe, worked it, and snap, it popped, it clean off. It was just off, and it was still closed. And what do you do? I don't know what to do when something like that happens. And it was the biggest letdown of, I don't want to say my life, that's dramatic, but it was a big letdown. It was really, really awful. So we have to figure it out. We'll watch a YouTube video and get that replaced. But we weren't done trying to work the water system. So we went into the bathroom. We were trying to get the head to work. We couldn't get the head to work. The sink wasn't working in the bathroom. We were turning on the water pressure little switch that we have on our control panel. We could hear this water pressure kind of building in a pump somewhere in the boat, but we couldn't get anything to turn on anywhere in the boat. It was just failure after failure after failure. Then by some miracle, we had a breakthrough. We started pulling up the kind of the floor and looking underneath at all of the pipes and the wires, and we found what we thought was probably the right water pump that went to the sink in the galley and in the head of the bathroom there. But it looked like it had a wire cut. We went ahead and stripped the wire on both ends where it looked like it was cut, and we resealed the wire back together. We put a coupling in there to hold it together and flipped the right switch, and then boom, it came to life. We had water flowing, and it was like the first real win that we felt like we had on this boat.
Since then, we've also had some other fun wins. We've just little things. We've eaten some meals on the boat, which is fun, thinking about that this is going to be our home pretty soon. And we've stayed a couple of nights on the boat, not as a whole family because we don't have all the sleeping arrangements set up, but each of the kids have gotten a turn on the boat, which they thought was really fun. which is good for us to see too. People keep asking, are the kids still excited? How do they feel about it? The kids are still so excited. They're ready to move on tomorrow. And then we even got to take the boat out for a little spin. We didn't put the sails up or anything. We had to move the boat because they had a fishing tournament going on here at the dock, so they asked us to move to a different part of the dock. But as we were moving it, we got to go take it out for a little spin, which was just exciting and fun to see our boat in action.
So that's what we've been up to.
What do we have to do next?
A lot. I mean, I would love to be on in like a month, and to get on, nothing has changed since last time we talked about this. We've got to get electrical systems and the water systems fully done and ready to go. I don't know if we mentioned this, but we did order a composting toilet for the boat about 2 months ago. And
Still not here.
It's like 12 or 16 weeks behind. Their shipping times are crazy right now. It's just, I guess they're just really behind on their orders, and so I don't know if that's going to come anytime soon. We did get the head working, but we can't really do everything in the head because we're in the harbor here, so we can't be releasing in the harbor or anything like that. So we're really kind of stuck using facilities on the shore for right now. We can get water on the boat. It's not potable water, but it's no different than where we live right now.
But I think we've got the solar and battery figured out, so we're going to get that ordered. We will still have to wait for those to be shipped here too. So we've got a lot of waiting left to do before we get everything we need. But in the meantime, we've been sorting through all the stuff we've got at home, and we've been slowly bringing the things that we're going to keep back to the boat and starting to find places for it all. I have never more fully appreciated my mom's favorite quote growing up. She was always telling us, there's a place for everything and everything in its place. We would always roll our eyes. Yeah. But that
hits home here.
Yeah, it's never been more true than finding places and thinking about living on the boat here.
So we are slowly starting to see the big pile of junk in our house kind of start to weed down as we're bringing stuff in or finding stuff to really throw away. But we're definitely, there's still a lot there that we're going to have to get rid of. So I guess that's going to ultimately end up in like a big yard sale, or us trying to figure out some way to get rid of all of this stuff. It's almost like 2 households worth of stuff, like all the things that we can't fit in this new household that we're going to have.
Because there's also stuff that we just had from our land life here from before that just isn't going to work on the boat either.
Yeah.
But you guys will have to wait until our next boat video to see how we figure out how to get rid of all that stuff.
That's right. But hopefully that's a pretty good summary of what we've been up to for the last couple of months. Since we haven't necessarily been at a new beach every weekend, this is where we have been spending our time at. And I think that we've answered a lot of the questions that we've gotten in comments.
Yeah, let us know if you guys still have some other questions about our boat and how the process is coming along. Let us know in the comments down below.
We'll try to be diligent about keeping a camera out so we can capture all the really weird moments that we keep encountering as we're fixing up this crazy old boat.
And as soon as we can, we are planning on taking her out and starting to throw those sails up and really letting her do her thing.
Yeah.
You guys, if you missed our last video, I took a boat tour around the island, and all through that whole boat tour, I just kept thinking, I can't wait to take our own boat out and to be able to take the whole family and really just have the time to do as much exploring as we want. So hopefully before too long, we'll be able to start taking you guys along for those trips too.
Again, guys, thanks so much for joining us on this video, and if you're a subscriber, we can't thank you enough. If you aren't yet, please consider subscribing below so you can follow us in our journey as we continue to fix up this boat and as we continue to live this amazing life that we live here in the territory of American Samoa.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, both at AmSamFam. I post a little more frequently there, and so you can see a little bit more up to date of our adventures, our lives, and our progress on the boat.
And if you haven't already, check out the link below to Melinda's book on Amazon. It's so good, guys. Go check it out.
It's a travel guide to American Samoa, to the whole territory, and it's available on Amazon in ebook and paperback.
And it's awesome. You won't regret it. Check it out.
All right, we're going to say goodbye for now. Tofa Soifua.
Tofa Soifua. So there was a major leak down over here that I think we've patched, but it still got in and got kind of rotten.
Yeah.
There's a major leak coming through this still, and it's partly coming through this side, and we're just seeing it draining out back behind the wall. So there's something major going on there.
Yeah.
That's probably been going for years. And
well, and this is awful.
yeah, you can see it's like puffed out. Oh, I can just about rip that off.
You can see, like, as we speak, it's raining, and there's this water just dripping in.
Yeah. Chris is breaking a bag of ice over there. And there's the, you hear the music?
I do. It's that church across the street.
It's really beautiful, but I don't know if they can hear it in the video. Should we wait?
Yeah, let's wait a minute.